Well, to be honest, Kevin, I'm not too sure.
Okay.
So affirmative action is the policy favoring disadvantaged members in the past.
Affirmative action is the consideration of race and ethnicity in the college admittance process.
Right, affirmative action is when you can take race into consideration when admitting people into like colleges or into the jobs.
Affirmative action is when the colleges receive all the applications of the prospective students and they accept a certain percent of minority students over the general population.
Honestly, I don't think you should someone's like admission to a university be based on their race.
I don't know if I could say I agree with it. You know, there's some both pros and both cons. You know, some may agree that it places it under an advantage today, while, you know, it is true that certain disadvantaged populations have been harmed in the past before. So it really is a controversial issue.
I do agree with affirmative action because I feel like it gives minorities more of a chance to, I guess, show their worth in a society full of the majority on a college campus.
Okay, I agree with affirmative action to a certain extent. Minority students don't always get the proper resources to have as good grades as the typical student.
Yeah, because it allows diversity and provides opportunity for people of different social classes.
In this case, I think so. I mean, it has, because I am a Hudson Holland scholar, and that select scholarship is selected for, you know, to like students who are a part of like the minority group.
Me necessarily, no, but I could see how it would affect others in the community.
I believe it did have an impact on me because I feel like they considered more of us to be admitted into the campus. So of course I was one of those.
Okay, personally, I'm a pretty average student, so affirmative action doesn't really affect me personally, but my roommate, it did affect her, and she was accepted into Cali because she's a minority.
Not that I know of.
Well, I don't think IUs are really selective with, you know, who they admit. They obviously admit a broad spectrum of people, but I know that certain scholarships and certain opportunities are open to certain, you know, groups.
Here at IU, I think maybe it may not play a significant difference than like other universities, more selective universities. I know more selective universities tend to prefer more different, more even racial groups. But since we're not as competitive a school, even though IU is a great school, I don't think we deal with that as much as other schools.
I think it has a very large impact because it exposes the majority to the minority, and you see a lot more of the underrepresented individuals on the campus.
I think affirmative action has a large impact at IU because every single department or school, like Cali or SPIA or School of Public Health, have a required percentage of students they have to accept that are minority students.
I think it like comes into factor when they're admitting people into different like groups and like the school in general. Yes.
I personally am not part of a minority group, so I don't want to talk for all of the minority people, but my personal opinion is that what I see, minority groups are treated pretty equally at IU because it's a big policy here to accept a certain percent of them, and I think that they're pretty much provided with the resources they need to succeed.
I don't know if they're completely treated fairly because of course there's still the sense of the majority and still the acknowledgement of the majority on the campus. So I don't think it's ever complete fairness when it comes to treating the minority on the campus.
I mean, we're treated, you know, the same as other people in the community. You know, obviously we have our own events, you know, we have clubs, representing our groups and minorities. So I think excellent clubs and excellent experiences at the university.
I think they're treated fairly. I know that IU goes out of the way to make them feel comfortable and like give them, the resources that they're used to. Like I'm thinking in particular like with international students, like they have like certain services specifically designed for them.
I think IU's doing a great job with that. Really, there isn't really much to improve upon. I mean, there could be more. I know in the beginning of the year they had like the cultural fest, exposing students to different cultures, more activities like that. But I think IU's doing a good job.
I think IU could increase their quota when it comes to accepting the minority on the campus, and accept more than like what you see with the small amount of minority that are accepted that you see walking around the campus.
Okay, I think IU does a great job with affirmative action applied to academics, but I think they need to do a little more work with athletics and using affirmative action, accepting minorities into the athletic teams.
Well, because I'm not necessarily directly impacted by this, I can't really come up with a certain, with advice.
"11 years after affirmative action was amended at IU, Scott M. Dillon, a recent graduate from the Maurer School of Law, collected 500 minority student records that indicated that Indiana's black law students had lower test scores than the rest of the law students. These records showed significantly lower admission scores for minority students compared to their white peers. He believed that these students did not deserve to be admitted into such a prestigious law school and that the law school was lowering its standards for minority students. Dillon dispersed the records into law students' mailboxes at the Maurer School of Law. The next morning, all 500 records had been removed from the mailboxes before students were able to access the information. No one knows who removed them. Mrs. Robel, the dean of the law school, did not agree with Mr. Dillon's perspective and therefore did not investigate because she believed the benefit of diversifying the law school outweighed the downsides. Mr. Dillon complained to Mrs. Robel and demanded something to be done. He requested her to email students and tell them about the issue. Many believe Mrs. Robel should have addressed the issue earlier on so students would understand the situation better.
IU does a good job with affirmative action already, but there are things that could be improved upon. Indiana University needs to increase the factor of race in the admissions process. As of 2016, there were over 43,000 students admitted to IU, but only 4% were African American, only 4% were Asian American, and only 4% were Hispanic. If IU is to make race a larger factor in admissions, then these numbers will begin to rise, and then there will be more diversity on campus, leading to better discussions in classrooms with more diverse perspectives and ideas. Indiana University could also better educate its students on what affirmative action is and change the meaning of it a little bit. Affirmative action at IU mostly deals with race, but IU could make it about gender, sexual orientation, or religion. Affirmative action could also be used to include it within clubs, sports, Greek life, and other campus organizations. This would help integrate all minorities into programs that they might not usually feel very represented in. IU does a great job with affirmative action right now, but by changing these few things, they can make it even better.